Hi friends, it's Allie here from the Turtle Trunk, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet the Picot ice cream pint holder. If you saw my video from last week, we made the Picot can holder, so I thought it would be fun to make one for an ice cream pint. So this measures about 3¼ inches across and 3½ inches tall, making it the perfect fit for an ice cream pint. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Now let's get started. For today's tutorial, I'll be using Bernat Maker Home Decor yarn, but you can substitute with any bulky 5-weight yarn. You'll also need a 5.5 or I hook, scissors, a yarn needle, and tape measure. We're going to begin by making a magic circle. We're going to secure that with a chain 1. And then inside of the circle, we are going to work 8 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then I'm going to take the short tail end here and just pull that tight to close up that hole. And then to end the round, we are going to join to the very first single crochet that we worked. So we're going to join with a slip stitch and then chain 1. So at the end of round 1, our total stitch count is at 8. For round 2, we are going to work 2 half double crochets into each stitch around. So that's 1 half double crochet into the first stitch and another half double crochet into that same stitch. We're going to work 2 half double crochets in the next. We're just going to work 2 half double crochets into each stitch around. I'm just on the last stitch here. So to end the round, we're going to slip stitch to the very first stitch that we worked. And then chain 1, and at the end of round 2, our stitch count is now at 16. For round 3, we're going to work 1 half double crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 half double crochets into the second stitch. And then we're going to repeat that around, so 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. Just on the last stitch here. When we finish the round, we're going to join to the very first stitch and chain 1. So at the end of round 3, our stitch count is now at 24. On to round 4, we are going to work 1 half double crochet into the first stitch, 1 half double crochet into the second stitch, and 2 half double crochets into the third stitch. And then we're going to repeat that around. So 1 half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. Just on the last stitch here. When we end the round, we're going to join to the first stitch and chain 1. So at the end of round 4, our stitch count is now at 32, and that was our last increase round. So for now on, our stitch count is always going to end with 32. Now before we move on to round 5, I'm just going to measure my base here. So this is how we're going to measure our gauge, is we're just going to measure our base. So we want this to be about 3.25 inches. So you're just going to measure straight across from one side to the other side. There we go, and that's exactly 3.25, 3¼ there we go. So if yours is any smaller, like much smaller, maybe closer to 3, then you'll probably want to go up a hook size or 2, and then if yours is much bigger, then you're going to want to go down a hook size or 2. I have a fairly tight gauge, so if you are a looser crocheter, then you might want to go down a hook size or 2. So now that we have that the right size, we're going to move on to round 5. And for round 5, we're going to be working in the front loops only. So when you look at your stitches from above like this, you'll see that there is the front loop, which is the loop closest to you, and then there is the back loop, which is furthest away from you. So we're going to be working only in the front loop. So we are going to work 1 single crochet front loop only in each stitch around. So starting in that one that we're currently in, we are going to insert our hook into the front loop only, and we're going to work 1 single crochet. We're going to move on to the next one, front loop only, single crochet. We're just going to repeat that around for round 5, single crochet front loop only in each stitch around. Just on the last stitch here. So I'm going to join to the very first stitch with a slip stitch and chain 1. So as you can see, by working in the front loop only, we created this little ridge on the bottom, and that's just going to help our base sit flat. And now we're going to be working up. So we're actually going to flip this inside out. So yes, now our ridge is on the inside, but how we're going to work this is at the end, we're going to flip this inside out so that the wrong side is on the outside. And that's because the rows that have the bumpy stitches, those are Picot single crochets. And to get that bump, you work those on the wrong side. So we're going to have to flip it inside out for those to show. So we're going to be working with the wrong side out, like we want the wrong side out when we're all done. So we're going to be working inside out, so while we're working this, it's not going to look like much on the outside, on the side that's facing us, but all the texture and everything is going to be on the inside. So at the end, we're going to flip it inside out, and then we'll be able to see all that. So now we are on to round 6, and for round 6, we are just going to work 1 half double crochet into each stitch around. On the last stitch here, we reach the end of the round. We're just going to slip stitch to the very first stitch, chain 1. So now we're on to round 7, and for round 7 we are just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch around. Just on the last stitch here, and when we're done the round, we're just going to join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch and chain 1. Now we're on to round 8, and round 8 is where we're going to start working the Picot single crochets. So we're going to work 1 in the very first stitch. So to do 1, you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first loop on your hook again, and yarn over and pull through the first loop on your hook again. So essentially we just worked a chain 3 right here, and now we're going to yarn over and pull through both the loops on our hook. And then to get the bumpy stitch effect, we are going to push that chain 3 to the back, and we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. So as you can see on this side here, it doesn't look like much, but then when you flip it over, you see we have that little bump there. It's almost like a mini bauble. So now we're going to work another Picot single crochet into the next stitch. So we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook, yarn over and pull through the first loop on our hook, and yarn over and pull through the first loop on our hook. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through both the loops on our hook. Push that chain 3 to the back, and then single crochet into the next stitch. So we're just going to repeat that all the way around for round 8. So picot single crochet into the next stitch, and single crochet into the next stitch. Picot single crochet into the next stitch. Don't forget to push that chain 3 to the back, and single crochet into the next stitch. I'm just on the last stitch here, so our last stitch is going to be a single crochet. And I'm going to join to the beginning and chain 1. So as you can see, if we flip this inside out, you can see all those picot single crochet stitches, and it just adds a really nice texture. So now we are moving on to round 9. Oops. For round 9, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch around. I'm just on the last stitch, and when we finish the round, we are going to join to the beginning and chain 1. Now we're on to round 10, and for round 10, we're going to work 1 half double crochet into each stitch around. I'm just on the last stitch here. So at the end of the round, join to the beginning and chain 1. Now we're on to round 11. For round 11, we are going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch around. I'm just on the last stitch here. I'm going to join to the beginning and chain 1. So now we're on to round 12, and for rounds 12 through 15, we're just going to repeat the last 4 rows that we worked. So we are going to repeat the next row, which will be the picot single crochet and the single crochet. So we're going to picot single crochet into the first stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch. Picot single crochet into the next stitch, and single crochet into the next stitch. I'm going to repeat that around for round 12. I'm just on the last stitch here, so I'm going to join to the beginning and chain 1. Now we're on to round 13, and for round 13 we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch around. just on the last stitch, and join to the beginning and chain 1. Now on to round 14, and for round 14 we are going to work 1/2 double crochet into each stitch around. I'm on the last stitch here. I'm going to join to the beginning and chain 1. And now we're on to our last row, so row 15. All we're going to do is work 1 single crochet into each stitch around. I'm just on the last stitch. So to end the round, we're going to join to the beginning, chain 1. So that was our last round. So now I'm going to grab my scissors and we're going to cut off my yarn, leaving a few inches, just enough for me to weave in my ends. I'm going to take my hook and pull that straight out and pull that nice and tight. So now I'm going to grab my yarn needle and I'm just going to weave in both my ends that I had, so this one that we just cut off and then the one from the very bottom. And just make sure that you weave in your ends on this side, the side that we have facing out right now, because this is going to get turned into the inside. So weave your ends on this side. Alright, now that we're all done, we can now flip this inside out. So there we go. This is what it should look like from the now outside view. So you can see there's a lot of texture there from the Picot single crochet stitches, and then also this little ridge that's from the 1/2 double crochet stitches. So it's just a lot of fun texture. I'm going to grab ice cream pint so you can see how it fits. So here's one right here. You can just slip it on. There you go. There's a little bit of space in the top. There you go. So now it's easy to hold, it has those grips on it. It fits like this. So it's about 3.5 inches tall and then about 3¼ inches wide. So perfect for a little ice cream pint. Thank you so much for following along. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you a part of the Turtle Trunk family. You can find this pattern and many more free patterns on my blog, whoshomemade.com, and be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and don't forget to tag me in your photos so I can see your finished turtle trunk creations. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.